Rahim. Today's topic is business cycles, unemployment, and inflation. Uh, Basically, the business cycle describes the alternating increases and decreases in economic activities over time. And basically, there are the different phases of the business cycle. Some of them they are called peak, when everything in the economy that is enjoying boom. You can say the people are enjoying high level of income. They are enjoying they're enjoying all this. They have the employments. Prices are rising steadily, and the producers and the supplier they're happy with the increase in income because of the incentives of having higher profits. They keep on producing more, they keep on hiring more and more of the people, and because of the excessive demand they are trying to match the increased demand with the increased supply. The second phase is called the recession, when all of the economy that is going down, inflation that is going up, unemployment is going to be increased. People are having lesser income as compared to the peak. Trough is the deepest part of the recession, when all of the economy is at its slump. People are suffering high level of the unemployment. They are having the low incomes. The demand is too low to encourage all of the producers to produce more and more. So obviously, when they are not producing any more, so they are firing laborers. So laborers are losing jobs. Unemployment is going to be increased. So all of these things they are described as the trough. Expansion is when the economy is going to be recovered, the people are getting jobs, there is increase in demand. In order to increase the demand, suppliers are supplying, they're hiring more and more laborers, so economy is expanding, growing. So these are the four different cycles, ups and downs. We may call the peak, and is called the up, recession, downward, through the deepest part, and expansion, that is increasing part of the business cycle. Now the question is, why the business cycle fluctuations? Obviously, there are the economic shocks. Economic shocks means unexpected events in the economy that happens. It could be the natural calamities, or it could be in the man-made all of these the wars and these sort of things that could contribute towards the business cycle fluctuations. The more economic shocks are there, the more economy fluctuates. So prices are sticky downwards. Prices are sticky downwards means that when the economy is facing a downward, there is no more fluctuation, or there is no more flexibility downward. So we can say that sticky prices means if aggregate demand is falling and firms cannot decrease price. Obviously, they have their own reservations, or because they have to cover the cost of the production, so they cannot decrease the price. But on the other hand, aggregate demand is falling. So firms will end up selling lower units of the output. That is, the sales will fall, output would fall, GNP fall, and overall the unemployment that would increase. And the economic response entails decrease in output and employment. So basically, what are the causes of the this business cycle shocks? So one of the cause is the irregular innovations. When we call the irregular innovations means there are the major innovations that happens in the economies, but these are irregular. And major innovations may trigger investment, consumption spending. For example, computer and internet is one of the major innovation and inventions that change the entire structure of the economies. So change in technology bring shocks and affects productivity. The second is monetary factors. Third, you can call it. As the money supply increases by the monetary authorities, inflation shoots up. It will also contribute towards economic shocks. The political events is also one of the reasons for this. As the economy adjusts to political events like peace treaties and war, economic strains can occur. So we can say the financial instability is also one of the reasons for this. Rapid asset price increases or decreases can spill over to the general economy and cause booms and busts. And the way we had seen the recession of 2007 and the recession which is going on because of the coronavirus into 2020, the recession of 2007 that was basically led by the excessive money, overvalued real estate, and unsustainable mortgage debt. If you look at the unemployment, unemployment cannot be defined simply whosoever is not having job, we cannot say them unemployed, because in the economy, the labor force, they have their own definition. Those people who are below 18, above the 65 years old or 60 years old, they cannot be called unemployed. They are not part of the labor force. So we can say the number of unemployed divided by the total labor force, if we multiply with the 100, then it's called the unemployment rate. For example, the example is given to you. I'll explain later on the different types of the unemployments. But basically, what are the cyclical impact? Durable goods, they affect mostly as compared to the non-durable goods, because the durable goods, the non-durable goods, spending on the non-durable cannot be postponed, while spending on the durable is more expensive. For example, we can call furniture, TV, fridge, all of these things. So spending on the durable goods is more volatile than more non-durable goods. And we can call the non-durables are all of these services, and food and clothing are there. So there are the three different types of the unemployment. One of them is called the frictional, the other one is called the structural, the third one is called the cyclical. Frictional unemployment, that refers to when people are moving jobs in between the jobs. They're leaving one job and moving to the better job. So the time period when they stay unemployed in between the jobs is called basically the frictional unemployment, and this is the short-lived. We can say it is a necessary part of the economies. People have to move from one job to the others, so they have to stay unemployed for a while. So we cannot say that this is a natural part of the unemployment. We call frictional unemployment. Structural unemployment, obviously this is a long-term unemployment when certain skills become obsolete. For example, those people who had been used to the typing, the typists are no more required because of the invention or the innovation of the computers and the internet. The third type of the unemployment is called the cyclical unemployment. This is caused by the recessions. And the recessions, the way we had seen in 2007-8, people were unemployed. That is because of the recession that happened. So when the firms, they respond to insufficient demand for their goods and services, output and employment that falls. Next is the definition of the full employment. Full employment means when cyclical unemployment is equal to zero. So a frictional unemployment cannot be equal to zero, because this is the natural part of the economy. Hence, whenever we call the full employment, rate of unemployment is called basically the natural rate of unemployment, in which the structural and frictional, both of these are the necessary part of the economy. We can call the natural part of the economy. It has to have in the economy in any case. So natural rate of unemployment is achieved when the job seekers are equal to the job vacancies, when the demand for labor is equal to the supply of labor. Hence, we call the full employment rate of unemployment is called the natural rate of unemployment. Okay, next is the GDP gap. What is the economic cost of the unemployment? One of them is called the GDP gap. GDP gap refers to the difference between actual GDP and the potential GDP. When we call potential GDP, it means the level of GDP which can be achieved by employing all the resources optimally. GDP at full employment is called the potential GDP. As according to the Hawkins law, that every 1% of the unemployment that leads to the 2% fall in GDP gap. That means that economy is producing below the potential, the way we have seen the inside the production possibility curve. All those who are lying inside the PPC, they are working or they are producing below the potential. And non-economic cost, you can see the number of the non-economic cost. All of these are quite easy. You can see it yourself. Let's come to the inflation. Inflation, the general rise in price level is called basically the inflation. And inflation that reduces the purchasing power of the money. The way we have discussed, in order to measure the inflation, obviously we subtract the last year's price index to current year's price index and then divide by the last year's price index and then multiplying by 100, we can have the 2.8%. As in this case, we have seen the last year's index, it was to 7.3 and current year is to 1.6. So when we compare last year's with the current year's, then we can see the 2.8% price has gone up. And there are the different types of the inflation. One of them is called the demand pull inflation. The other one is called the cost push inflation. Demand pull inflation, basically excessive spending or relative to the output. When demand is more than supply, then obviously the central bank that is issuing too much money, excessive supply of money that cause inflation, and excessive spending that is caused by the demand pull inflation. On the other hand, the cost push inflation that is pushed up by the rise in cost of production or the input cost. So when the raw materials or the cost of production that increases, and obviously then supply, they will have to increase the prices. So that increase in prices because of increase in cost of the production. So this sort of the inflation is called the cost push inflation. And secondly, we can say the supply shocks. Because of any reason, we can say the natural calamity could be one of the reasons for this. When supply is reduced and shortage of supply that give rise to the prices is called one of the cost push inflation. If you look at the demand supply, if both of them they are in equilibrium, and then if we show a fall in supply, the left will, then it will cause a rise in price. It's called basically the cost push inflation. Okay, and then you must have seen, and we have discussed earlier, and the nominal and the real. In case of the nominal, it's not adjusted for inflation, while the real income is adjusted for inflation. So whenever you have to see the percentage change in real income, then obviously we have to reduce the percentage change in nominal income minus the percentage in price level. So if we take out the inflationary effect out of the nominal income, we can reach to the changes in real income. Who is hurt by the inflation? Fixed income receivers, fixed pensioners, savers, creditors. So whenever the inflation goes up, value of the money of the savers, of the creditors, of the fixed income receivers that goes down, that is causing them hurting by the inflation. And who is unaffected by the inflation? Those people who are receiving a flexible income. When the cost of living is adjusting, or the debtors, they pay back the loan with the cheaper dollars, cheaper rupees. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Allah Hafiz.